Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. We got a ton to talk about today. I am Jacob Milham, joined as usual by the illustrious note taker, Jeremy Hokius Greco. Those notes will reveal themselves in due course. Jeremy, how we doing?
Do what?
Due course.
Okay, I heard course.
Well, I do have a frog in my throat. I got that, it feels, I hopefully I don't croak on the podcast.
That would be bad. I would not appreciate. I feel like that's a lot of paperwork for me if you do that.
I think it is. Also, the Pop-Tarts for my funeral come out of your paycheck if that happens.
No, not my Pop-Tarts.
All right, folks. So the people who make this podcast happen and just all around put together the best stuff on the Kansas City Royals, they're at royalsreview.com. Got the rumblings every single day. You would have Jeremy's over here talking about notes. We had plenty of notes on stuff that we're going to talk about today, to include the Royals headline move of the week. It was a slow baseball week outside of Bregman signing and Ranger Suarez signing. We'll also talk about that a little bit later on. But the Royals garnered a lot of headlines for the fact that they are moving the outfield fences inward. They announced on Tuesday they're also going to be shortening them a little bit. Jeremy, I could go into the nitty-gritty, the details, the numbers on this, but I want to give the floor to you first. Like, what were you thinking when you saw this announcement?
I was thinking, boy, oh boy, Salvi and or Vinny are going to break the team home run record. I don't have the exact dimensions, but the basic idea is that they're bringing the alleys in. The corners are staying pretty much the same. Center field is staying exactly the same. They're just changing the way the wall curves so that the alleys are in about 10 feet, which is about the width of a warning track, which means if it was on the warning track into the alley last year, it's a home run this year. And I've got some stuff a lot of different places we can go with this, but, I feel like the Royals had a lot of warning track shots last year.
Yeah.
Certainly their pitchers gave up some warning track shots. This is not going to be only additional Royals home runs.
Right.
There's a lot to talk about with this, Jacob, and I don't want to steal your thunder, and I don't know where you want to start with that.
No, I don't I don't have a lot of thunder on this. I do want to.
I have a lot of thunder. The Royals bats have a lot of thunder for this.
Yes, they will, and hopefully they will have lightning in the home run column.
Sure.
So here's what it boils down to for me. I'm looking at this twofold. Number one, from a data analytics perspective, I think that this is a excellent job of what happens when you listen to the data. Dr. Mack, I saw folks bashing him on Royals Review in the comment section. Yeah, I had the exact same reaction, just rolling my eyes at it. And at the end of the day,
for those of you listening at home,
yes, the guy knows what he's talking about, and there's a lot of R&D and there's a lot of analytics that are now in the front office for the Royals. That's still something that's fairly new to this franchise. And Mac has been, he's been with this team since before the World Series in 2015. He's been in Kansas City for quite some time. And it's hard to communicate data. We could sit here and talk about xWOBA and all that jazz till we're blue in the face. But if you don't tell owners, if you don't tell decision makers, hey, these are the numbers, but this is how this impacts it, and this is why you should invest money in doing it. Because you got to remember, this isn't just like a setting you click on. They're investing money in moving this infrastructure in. I don't have a dollar amount. I don't have that in front of me, but I know it's not cheap. Nothing's ever cheap in a baseball stadium. And
you try knocking the walls down in your house and then rebuilding them somewhere else. It ain't going to be cheap.
No, exactly. So I am happy that happened, but also this gives me a little bit more hope that the Royals aren't just settling on, they're not all focused on where they're going to be playing after 2031. They just as easily could have said, hey, we're going to do this for the new stadium, but them doing this now leads me to believe that the new stadium is going to have a similar footprint and that they're going to build this team around that. Sorry, Jerry.
I do want to throw out there, I know some people were saying, well, maybe this means the Royals are planning to stay past 2031. I didn't watch the press conference, but I did see someone say that one of the first things Piccolo said was that for the next 5 years, we want the field to look like this. They're still planning to exit 2031. Of course, to do that, they're going to have to pick a site and arrange everything and break ground pretty quick, because
Yes.
baseball stadiums do not go up in a day, much like Rome.
Yeah.
So, but they're probably moving.
Probably so.
Maybe not 2031, maybe 2032, but it's not because of the fences.
No.
And apparently the construction is relatively simple. They made this choice this offseason, and it will be done by opening day.
Right. I don't think it's time intensive, but it's still a conscious choice had to be made here, and a small investment. Now, so hold on. Do you want me to get into the specifics of the dimensions now?
Sure, why not?
Well, just so everyone understands what's going on, because you said it best, that they're moving into alleyways. And we talked a little bit about this with the outfield positioning. Like, it felt like there were a lot more balls that were getting caught on the warning track instead of going for doubles.
And that's true around baseball, but how to put this? I feel like the effect could be even harsher in Kauffman Stadium, where it's harder to hit a home run.
Yes.
If more fly balls are turning into outs than ever, than a stadium where fly balls already turned into not home runs,
yeah,
is going to pay the price even worse.
And I found it interesting that we heard multiple different viewpoints on this. Former Royals, current Royals. I thought Vinny had a well thought out tweet about it.
Did you? Because I couldn't understand his tweet. I tried so hard. All I took away from it was Brent Rooker making fun of him for wanting triples. He's like, yeah, Vinny, you hit so many triples.
It was, I'm trying to think how to word this. There are different ways that you ideate something before you start creating it, right? Like, I remember learning in school, you'd have bubbles or lists or things like that. It sounded like Vinny just turned on voice to text and started talking.
See, my thought was Vinny took his petty response, because he put up a poll and he said, should I give the adult response or the petty response? I'm not even sure what the petty response would be. This benefits him.
It does.
100% of the time, this benefits him. He is not a pitcher. He is a hitter. This makes it easier for him to hit home runs. And we'll talk more about how the difference in home runs in a minute, but it does. Factually, it makes it easier for him to hit a home run. So I'm not really sure what the petty response was, but I almost wondered if he took his petty response and plugged it into one of those generative AIs and said, make this less petty.
Maybe
because
so.
It really read like gobbledygook to me.
I gotcha. If you want to go read it, you can find it on his Twitter. Or you could find it on. I put it in the rumblings yesterday.
The best I could interpret it, if I'm acting as Google Translate here, is he worries. I feel like he's worried about like changing the character of Kauffman Stadium, but I don't think he needs to worry about that so much. Which again, we could talk about in a minute when you get through your part that you're trying to talk about, that I've interrupted entirely.
No, you're fine, because I would like to talk about this a little bit more. This is something that Mac talked about, is they weren't trying to make Kauffman like a home run friendly stadium. They're just trying to make it more neutral. They're trying to make it more average, Jeremy.
Yeah, he said something about the run value of fly balls was in Kauffman Stadium was among the worst out of all the stadiums in baseball, which checks out. I think it might still be. It was the largest outfield in baseball after Coors.
Yeah,
and it's the fourth highest elevation, but it's a long ways from Coors height.
Correct.
So yeah, like I said, fly balls go to Kauffman. It rewarded line drives. Fly balls went there to die.
Yeah. And this is one of those things. We're going to talk about some of the expected numbers here in a moment, but I do want to say on the character, before we move on from that completely, that I don't think this is going to change the character of Kauffman at all.
It's still a big outfield.
Right.
It not changing the corners means the triples still play pretty similarly to how they played, because most of the triples are hitting to the corners. Ask Paulo Orlando. He'll tell you.
Yes.
Bobby Witt Jr. can hit a triple into the gap, but he can hit a triple into the gap in any stadium. It doesn't have to be Kauffman.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be last year's Kauffman. It's going to add some home runs. Depending on who you ask, it might be 30 to 50 home runs for the whole season for both home and away. So that's not 30 to 50 additional home runs for the Royals. That however many for the Royals plus however many for their opponents adds up to 30 to 50 more home runs. I think it's interesting who I really want to talk about who this is going to benefit the most, but we'll get to that. Because it's going to take away some doubles. It's going to take away, I think, a lot of outs on the track, especially with the way outfielders are playing. And it's going to add some home runs. It's going to increase the run environment in Kauffman Stadium to some degree.
Yeah.
What's interesting is David Lesky did a really interesting analysis on the Royals pitchers. They're not as they give up some fly balls, but they don't necessarily give up a ton of deep fly balls. And they kind of, Seth Lugo, I think he pointed out, kind of clusters them towards center field, which isn't changing. And I do think it's interesting that Kauffman Stadium is still going to reward you for having an athletic, top-notch defensive center fielder while letting power hitters still hit home runs. And everyone is worried about, Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, what are they going to do there now? Well, guess what, guys? They were hitting home runs out of old Kauffman.
Yeah, easily. They weren't sneaking them over the fence.
When you hit it 480 feet, when you hit it at 480 feet, it don't matter where the walls are. It's out.
Yeah, that I'm not worried about that at all, because this is going to be a trade-off. It absolutely is, and it looks like the expected numbers benefit the Royals much more than it hurts them. And I think that this gives them a clear identity for when you are like this. This clarifies it a little bit more when you're looking at player acquisitions. Okay, we do want, we're not going to be ground ball only pitchers. You can give up fly balls, but as long as they're not, deep fly balls, you're fine.
Yeah. And one topic that Daniel Mack brought up that I found really interesting that, again, Lesky hit on pretty hard is that this makes Kauffman less of an outlier in terms of fly ball value, and that they wanted that consistency. And we've talked before nauseum about consistency being a key aspect of being a baseball player. You've got to be consistent. And David Lesky wondered, and now I wonder because he wondered, did the Royals pitch differently at Kauffman Stadium than they did on the road? And did that sometimes impact them? Because, I can get away with this pitch at Kauffman. Do I throw this pitch when I shouldn't have at another stadium? Or, whatever. It's an interesting question. I don't have the answer. I don't think anyone does, but it is having that consistency of no, I shouldn't throw that pitch that way anywhere now. It might improve some things.
It might. It absolutely might. This might be a spot where the process changes and thus the results do as well. Whether that be positive or negative, we'll find out after opening day 2026. So we talked a lot about the expected numbers. Mm-hmm. So far, I'm going off of Fangraphs here because I want to stress this. I was looking through for rumblings Tuesday night after they announced this move earlier in the day. Everyone had an opinion.
Yeah.
I am everyone was coming out of the woodwork.
You're talking about it. Slow baseball. Everyone national was like, let's talk about the Royals moving their fences. We don't got nothing else to say. Let's talk about that. Exactly. You got Ben Clemens, you got Eno Saris, you got all kinds of people coming out of the woodwork to talk about it.
Well, and I think that for more of the analytical minds, this is a big thing to focus on, because we are seeing a before and after moment before our very eyes. And you brought up Clemens' article, so I'm going off of his expected numbers for this. I haven't done the research for it. I'm not going to boast.
I think his general numbers are probably on point. I wonder if his specific, player-specific numbers are a little under.
They could. I think that they would tend to be under, at least according to what I'm hearing from multiple other people. Mm-hmm. But
Saris, I was listening to the Rates and Barrels podcast earlier. They were talking about third baseman, and he mentioned Maikel Garcia's slugging is only projected to go up 1 point with the wall move. That doesn't sound right to me.
No. Who's really going to go up though is Bobby Witt Jr. Holy smokes! That 2024 season would have been even better if he had these new fences.
That 2025 season would have been closer to the 2024 season.
It would have. Clemens projected him that. So these projections are if the Royals had these new fences since 2015. Mm-hmm. So it's we're getting some old Royals, we're getting some new Royals in here. So a lot of data there to look at. But Bobby Witt Jr. is projected to have 15 extra home runs if he had played in this new field layout during his whole Royals tenure.
Which he's played 4 seasons now, I believe.
Yes, correct.
So that's 4 home runs a year. That's a pretty big difference.
It
And
is.
probably a lot of those are in 24 and 25.
Yeah. I was hearing some folks say that Bobby would have had 10 plus extra home runs in 2024 alone.
Lesky, yeah, I saw that, and Lesky looked at the video and the scatter plots for 25 and found like a cluster of balls that were hit to right center that were outs or doubles that would have been home runs for him in 25, like 7 or 8 of them.
Wow. Well, he knows where to put him at least now.
And he was just, and that was just at Kauffman Stadium he was looking at too. So that's not, he hit this at this other, no, those were the Kauffman Stadium fly balls that would have turned into home runs.
Yeah. It is interesting that according to Clemens's projections, Salvador Perez would have the home run record by now if he had these new.
Need parts fast? O'Reilly Auto Parts has fast. Need them now? We've got now. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. We're O'Reilly Fast. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Most people don't realize how much of their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, and even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it together at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/secure. Protect yourself now at aura.com/secure.
Mentioned since 2015, gaining 25 home runs.
Royals franchise career record for home runs.
Yes. Me.
He was not going to hit 74 in a season or something.
No, he was not going to do something crazy like that, but he would surpass George Brett for the top spot on that list. And I think that this is going to help Salvi cross that threshold in 2026. At worst, 2027.
Salvador Perez, I think, is one of the top 5 guys who's going to benefit, along with Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah. Who's another guy?
You want to guess who the other 3 are?
Yeah, I have a guess who the other 3 are, but I want to hear.
So Vinny, I think, is going to benefit to some degree because he doesn't yank it down the line, but I'm not sure if he's top 5. Kel Garcia could benefit quite a bit. I know the projection systems love what beyond what Saris was talking about with the one extra point. The projectors, maybe more than the systems, love what Michael could do. So those 2 guys I think are somewhere around 5th for who this could benefit the most. Jonathan India, I think, is a sneaky guy who had a really high, way higher fly ball rate than normal last year. And he had so many on the track. Heskey, I think, had him at 5 extra home runs if the fences had been moved in. 5 extra home runs changes his numbers a lot. So I think he could be a sneaky huge beneficiary of the fences. And the other guy I think might really benefit if these 2 guys, India might not still be a Royal come opening day. We'll see. The other guy also might not still be a Royal come opening day who could benefit from this. Michael Massey.
Yeah, I want to hear why do you think Massey? I was wanting to hear that a little bit.
He and India both have really high fly ball rates. So if we're talking about increasing the run value of fly balls, then those are the guys that are going to benefit. And Salvi's going to benefit because he's got a really high fly ball rate. Interestingly, Bobby Witt is gonna benefit from his line drives becoming home runs, not from his fly balls. He doesn't hit a ton of fly balls. He hits a lot of line drives, and we know this. His home runs are always ropes. He doesn't hit majestic bombs very often. Salvi does. But Michael Massey, we know he's got some pop, but we also know he hits a lot of fly balls, not a lot of line drives, and they die in Kauffman Stadium.
Right. Yeah,
I
really do.
think he and India are, if either one of them or even both of them are still Royals come opening day, they could see huge bumps in their numbers. Like I don't know, 20, 30 points of OPS from these fences.
Yeah, I think that's a conservative projection.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be too crazy.
Well, I think Massey is the most polarizing player that you listed in my mind. But that's primarily because of what we saw, like what we didn't see from him in 2025. I think of like 23 Massey or 24 Massey. He is, for his entire MLB career, he has been one of the best batters at pulling the ball in the air. And most of the time, those home runs are in the right field corner, which isn't getting moved at all, like you said. But, more of those to right center is going to make a big difference. By my rough count, just off of 24 alone, I see 4 different balls that would be home runs if he had these new dimensions. Like it's an interesting player to look at, and the 27-year-old does not have a lot of fans right now, but he might see a big bump at the plate.
My thing about Michael Massey is that he was actually pretty good in 24. Like there's a reason he was the leadoff hitter when the playoffs came around.
Yeah,
because he was producing, and that was with a high fly ball rate and with the walls where they were. So if he could return to that form, and remember, he looked a lot better once he came back from the IL at the end of last year.
That's true.
So if he could return to 24 form with these fences, I think he could be something special.
He could. He absolutely could.
He could be a sneaky comeback player of the year guy.
I think I would absolutely love that. I ain't gonna lie. All right, we do have some other Royal stuff to talk about, and we bring up a lot of different names on this podcast. I want to stress, go find different opinions about this, because there's a lot of good thought. There's a lot of great articles. There's a lot of great podcasts and videos.
Everyone is talking about it.
Yes, everyone is.
We've even got, I don't know if you saw the guy that we used to talk to about the prospects all the time. I've forgotten his name.
Preston Farr?
Preston Farr has a new newsletter on Substack, 816, and he even wrote about the fences. He usually writes about prospects, and he's like, let me talk about the fences. And I think his numbers were overly conservative, but everyone wants to talk about it. Lesky talked about it. Craig Brown talked about it. Like I said, Eno Saris talked about it on social media and on the podcast a little bit. Rates and Barrels. Ben Clemens has an article on Fangraphs. There's articles on KCRoyals.com, on Royals Review, of course, just everywhere.
Yeah. All right. So next Royals thing, and move on. Something that we didn't really prime our listeners at all for. I apologize. Today was the big day for signing international free agents, January 15th. I don't get excited about international free agency signing, because have you looked how many international free agents have actually made it to the big leagues? The hit rate is very few and far between, but if we're talking about the draft strategy changing and having patience there, international free agent class.
I'm just old enough to remember Noel Arguelles, or however you say his name.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
I remember him so well that I know how to pronounce his name, except I don't know how to pronounce his name. I remember his name because everyone was talking about it. He was this big deal pitcher that they signed, and then he got nowhere near the big leagues. I don't even think he made it to Omaha.
That's true. But the Royals have a lot of momentum on the international market. 2025 was a very strong class for them, both at the signing period, and now when we look back on it, Ken Trichorio is one of the hottest pitching prospects in baseball. Went from a complete non-factor to Baseball America now has him as the Royals' second best prospect in the organization. The Royals are doing a lot of good things that people like on that front. Now, will it materialize into wins above replacement and accolades and championships? I don't know. We have to have a lot of patience with these guys, but All I'm seeing about this class, this 2026 class from the Royals so far, is it might be even better than their 2025 class. Baseball America has it as a top 5 class right now.
It should be, because they had the most money to spend out of anybody.
That they did. And they invested a lot of it into one guy, a Venezuelan center fielder, Anibal Gomez. I can't say that correctly.
And Hybel, I believe.
And Hybel, thank you.
It's not well described in the press release, but I believe it's Hybel.
Thank you. I appreciate that. He was a top 5 prospect according to MLB Pipeline and Baseball America. A lot of hype around him. One of the top Venezuelan guys there's a lot of Venezuelan inroads right now, whether you look at the overall pipeline or at the major league roster. So not a surprise that they would go that route again. There's a lot of guys that I'm sure 1 or 2 are going to pop up, 1 or 2 are going to disappoint out of it. But I just want everyone to take away, the Royals signed a big class. They invested a lot of money into this class, and they did this after they have had good progress in the 24 and 25 classes. This wasn't throwing money at a problem, trying to fix it all in one shot. This is year 3 of a more concentrated effort in this marketplace. So I'm very excited about this class.
Yeah, and like you said, it's well regarded nationally. So even if it doesn't work out, at least the Royals, one of the frustrating things about following the Royals, especially in the teens and early 20s, was that they were always trying to buck the trends.
Yeah.
And it's like, everybody, like, bucking the trend made sense in 2003 when nobody really had a clue how valuable some things were, but everybody pretty much has a clue now. And your signing of that left-handed pitcher with a curveball, whose name I can't remember now,
Frank
Mazzucato, like, you tried to buck the trend and you shot yourself in the foot. So
the curveball is still great, but I don't know if we're ever going to see
let me know when
majors.
he can throw any other pitch.
Yeah, that's true. But to be fair, they did go with the trends in 2020, and look where that got them, right?
They go with the trends in 2020?
They did.
That was an injury thing. That's not on them.
It's not. I'm just trying to rally up a little bit.
Asa Lacy or Asa Lacy, however you say his name. I've never yet figured it out.
I haven't either. And unfortunately, it's because we're not.
Probably never will.
Yeah, we're probably never going to see him in a Royals uniform again. All right. So let's go and talk about some other big baseball things, mainly with the Boston Red Sox, Jeremy.
Yes.
This is from the word go. I would even say before the word go, like while we're setting up the Monopoly board and everyone's picking out their pieces, Royals fans were looking at the prime trade partner. You're the car. I'm the thimble. Oh, the thimble.
All right.
Before all those pieces were on the board, Royals fans were already looking at the Boston Red Sox and saying, this is the prime trade partner for Kansas City. And I don't think that's going to materialize now, especially after this Ranger Suarez signing.
Does not seem like it. A team that has already traded for 2 pitchers and now signed another, already had Garrett Crochet that they signed to an extension. They've got Brian Bayo. They've got Cutter Crawford. They've got a bunch of guys that are banging on the door in the minor leagues. Doesn't feel like they have room for another starting pitcher. Now, I did see a post from I saw a post from one Red Sox beat reporter reporting from another Red Sox beat reporter that the Red Sox could still move an outfielder this week, but I don't, if they do, it doesn't feel like they're going to get a starting pitcher for him. They might get an infielder. They don't have a third baseman. They don't have a second baseman, right? Unless you count, Christian Crawford, but you can't really count on him. He didn't look great last year. Marcelo Meyer didn't look great last year, coming off an injury, and he's more a shortstop. They've got what's his face from the Rockies, Trevor Story. Names are a big problem for me today. Who could play short or second, I guess, but if they want one more hitter, if they want another player to improve them, it's probably an infielder.
Probably so.
And the Royals don't exactly have any of those to spare.
No, not really. Which next episode we're going to look at the infield rankings. That's coming up.
We said we were going to talk about it this episode, but there's too much other stuff going on, so we will bring that for you the next episode.
Yep, that we will. So this is And, I'm spitballing here. If there's still discourse going on between the Royals and the Red Sox, which we don't know if there is. We absolutely don't know if
Yeah,
there
I'm sure
still is.
conversations are happening.
Well, I'm sure conversations are happening with other GMs. I just don't know how close they were. But I think this absolutely takes Reagan's for Duran off the table. I think this takes Bubic and a combination for Duran.
Yeah, Reagan's was never. Reagan's is the only guy that would make sense for the Red Sox to target still, and he was never on the block.
Yeah.
Bubic doesn't make any sense for the Red Sox anymore.
I do think something that does make sense if the Royals can pitch it properly is the Red Sox. They could use some minor league talent and a catcher.
Well, there's always a 3-team trade. I know some people were the Red Sox were looking at Ketel Marte for a while, and people were saying, well, what if Chris Bubic goes to Arizona? And Ketel Marte goes to Boston and Duran comes to Kansas City. That's still a possibility. Brendan Donovan, who's a guy I prefer over Duran for a lot of reasons, still hasn't been traded, even though Nolan Arenado has been.
Yeah.
So there's still stuff happening. Getting Bregman off the market helps. Honestly, getting Ranger Suarez off the market helps because now, sure, the Red Sox have him, but anybody else who was looking at him doesn't have him, still wants a left-handed starting pitcher. Chris Bubic now becomes more appealing. So moves happen better as there are fewer to make.
That's true.
So with Bregman off the board, with Suarez off the board, more things can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tucker seems like he might come off the board this week.
Yeah, apparently. That's what I'm hearing is that, the finalists are getting their offers in. We're hearing some, the New York Mets offered him X amount of dollars on a short-term deal, and these teams are still in the running.
The Blue Jays offered him 10 years.
Yeah,
so he might
which
take
is crazy.
that. Yeah, he's got some choices, but hopefully he's going to make it soon, and then things can really start rolling.
Yeah, because I might be misremembering the free agency dynamic when Soto was in it last year, but it felt like a lot more free agent moves happened after Soto signed with the Mets. It felt like that was a catalyst.
Well, the Mets and the Blue, you're like, well, a lot of teams aren't even looking at Tucker. Sure. But the Mets and the Blue Jays are two of the biggest spenders. They're looking at Tucker, and whichever of them, and the Dodgers for that matter, whichever of these teams doesn't get Tucker is going to want somebody. So other guy,
O'Reilly.
Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Bellinger's probably sitting out there going, well, let me see who wants to pay me when Tucker's gone. Yeah. And then you get Bellinger off the board, and then this happens, and then this happens. And you got it always starts from the top. Always.
That it does.
With MLB, and well, not always, obviously lots of deals have happened here, but again, as the top guys fall off the board, other people start turning to their second and third options, and then the players have to then respond to that, and on and back and on, and things happen.
Yeah.
I think Tucker's really holding things up right now.
Yeah, I certainly think so. So, all right, there is moving on to a little bit more of the people aspect of the sport. Go ahead.
Sorry, real quick, I wanted to tack on to that. Bregman got off the board, and Bo Bichette's offers immediately started happening.
Correct.
Prior to that, Bichette was sitting there going, hey, does anybody want me? I'll play second base. Please, somebody. And we were like, maybe he's going to fall to and then as soon as Bregman came off the board, it's like, oh, the Phillies are really interested in him. The Red Sox are really interested in him. Somebody's going to get him. And it's like, oh, okay. So people were interested in Bichette, but they wanted to check in on Bregman first.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
No, I'm going to pass the ball right back to you with this story from The Athletic about an Angels prospect who Craig Alcantara, which we talk about a lot about newsletters and such on this podcast. The Cup of Coffee newsletter is one of my favorites, and I think it's a great blend, truthfully, to start off your day.
I have to admit, I had to stop reading it on a regular basis because it became like doom scrolling to try. Like, he talks about baseball and his baseball stuff is good. And he talks about politics, and I don't disagree with most of his politics, but there's a reason I have stopped talking about politics as much on this podcast, even though we're about to talk about some politics. And it's because you need a break.
Yeah,
the politics are
understand.
there. Please engage with the politics, but you need a break. And so I want this to be more fun and less preachy.
Yeah.
Either y'all agree with me or you don't. I'm probably not going to convince any of you. I want to inform you whenever I can, but that's just where we are. Is I felt like this is just bringing my mood down and making my life harder to live. So I've had to stop reading it as much, but I did read the one this morning.
Yeah, and for good reason. And unfortunately, this story is one that will get a lot of folks riled up, and it has to do with the Los Angeles Angels, one of our least favorite franchises out there, for especially how they take care of their players or don't take care of their players. And the story of Rio Foster is one that will get your blood boiling real quick.
Yeah, so he was in a car wreck, drunk driver, not his fault, and he suffered terrible injuries to the point that his professional career is over. He's struggling to resume living a normal life. And there's I didn't really understand this part necessarily, but there's some rumors or some thoughts going around that the Angels might be getting ready to cut him from their roster. And your first thought might be, well, he's done as a pro ball player. Of course they're going to do that. The problem is if they cut him from their roster, he loses his health care.
Yeah.
And his healthcare costs are crazy because this is the country we live in. We all know about the healthcare stuff. I don't need to bang that drum too loudly, at least not yet. We'll get to that part, I guess. And the thing is, you might be going, well, most companies don't keep their employees on if they can't work. And it wasn't a baseball related injury, so it's not like they owe him workers' comp or something. But baseball teams have had a tradition of keeping guys employed. Craig Calcaterra has a whole list in here of guys who have suffered injuries that teams keep paying. I think the most infamous one or most famous one is the Dodgers have an outfielder who cracked their big league team, and he's struggled with mental health issues that they keep on a minor league contract every year so that he keeps his health care. I've forgotten his name. Not important.
Right.
And so there's this tradition of doing it, and we make fun. We've had fun at the Angels' expense, I think, and the ridiculous ways that they're doing things. Mike Trout you could still send him to Kansas City, okay? Still, you could. It's okay. We'll put him in a state-of-the-art training facility. It'll be great. But yeah, so the Angels, you might be taking him off, and they might not be paying him. And you might say, well, they don't have a responsibility to, and they don't legally, but ethically, and you might argue ethically they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I say ethically, we as a country need to fix our healthcare system so that people who suffer injuries like this, whether it's their fault or not, can get the care that they need. That's the real bad guy here. It's not the Angels. The Angels can fix this. The Angels can afford it. They're not going to Artie Moreno's not going to miss that money.
No.
But man, it would be nice if our healthcare system didn't suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a story that came up that I wanted to talk about a little bit.
He does. There's a GoFundMe. Yeah, there is a GoFundMe to support Foster if y'all want to, because the reality is it is never a good spot to be at when you're worried about, especially about healthcare, when you know you're going to have to pay for healthcare. And you're relying on someone else to pay for it, your status with someone else.
The relying on employers for healthcare is just, it's wild that we ever let that happen. And the fact that it's continuing to happen is upsetting.
Yeah. Yeah. So that article is up on The Athletic. I'll link it in the podcast description below, from Sam Bloom, who has had I don't know a whole lot about Sam, but they have had a few really good articles this off season, so definitely becoming one of my guys that if he writes something I click on it. All right, Jeremy, what do you say we get to do you have a happy review for us this evening? At least?
Yes, I do.
Yes. All right, let's get that happy review real quick, huh?
All right, so the review I'll give you this time is I just finished the anime that I really enjoyed called Hinamatsuri,
Okay.
which is kind of a gag anime. So you need to know that going in, that it's not real plot or character arc heavy, though it does have character arcs. Usually within episodes, the characters continue on in their new state. So it's not like a sitcom where, you win the lottery, but you have to find a way for that character to lose all the money before the next episode so that everything stays the same.
Yeah.
It was not a status quo thing, but it was not like an overarching story idea.
Gotcha.
So it's about this alien girl who arrives in this high-level Yakuza's apartment and destroys his vase collection. She just arrives in like a metal shell, crashes through the window, and then he ends up adopting her as his daughter, and shenanigans ensue. She's got superpowers, by the way, of telekinesis.
Gotcha.
And another telekinetic alien girl is sent to bring her back, and then Hina defeats her soundly in combat, and then she lives as a homeless girl for a while, which gives you a couple of interesting stories with homelessness in Japan. It's a riot of a show. It's also got a little bit of serious tone every once in a while. Like I said, you talk about it's not like a super downer when you look at the homelessness, but it's like, yeah, there are homeless people and this is kind of how they have to do things.
Sure.
It's a really, really fun show. I don't like gag anime as a general rule, but I loved this one.
Okay.
If you have ever liked my anime recommendations, check out Hinamatsuri. It's on Crunchyroll.
Excellent. Okay, there you go. My review for today is, I think next time I want to watch a little bit more on the Stranger Things reaction. We finally finished it, so I think next time I'll review that. But I got a quick one: a 2018 rom-com called "Set It Up." It's on Netflix. It's a very familiar rom-com formula. It doesn't do a whole lot of stuff special that's outside of the formula. What it does very well, I think. It's got Zoe Deutsch, excuse me, honey, correct me from the background. Zoe Deutsch, Glenn Powell,
Not Zoe
Taye Diggs.
Deschanel?
No, not
Okay.
Zoe Deschanel.
Because I was sure that's where you were going when you said Zoe. I was like, okay. Oh, no, I don't know who that is. All right.
Yeah. And also Lucy Liu is in it.
I know her.
Yeah. So the plot is all about two overworked assistants in New York City who they set up their bosses on dates to help alleviate the pressures on them and to make their bosses more happy. So I think it's a cute movie. It's a good movie, got good reviews, and
I can't criticize the choice. I've certainly been out here saying we need more of that kind of thing. So
yeah, Set It Up on Netflix.
Not necessarily more rom-coms, but more of those mid-level movies that are not like the blockbusters or the super indies with no budget.
That is going to do it today for this edition of the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. We greatly appreciate you listening. We are on a ton of different platforms. I keep on finding out that we have bigger listenerships on different platforms that I didn't know about. First, it was YouTube actually listening in, and now the Spotify has been popping off again. That's crazy. Wherever you listen to us at, just subscribe and follow so you don't miss another episode. Not so you
don't listen to us, just subscribe and follow.
Just subscribe, all right? Just keep it moving. But
smash that like button.
Yeah. No, I don't have all those metrics, and frankly, I don't have a face for video. But my name is Jacob Milham. They're Jeremy Greco. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, go Royals.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.